We try to be
I find exactly what I
everything
sent
for
you.
everyone.
Yeah, I
You
said,
do what you do. You
uh,
say what you say. Sorry, I'm done.
done? Sure?
No. Yes.
This is
Try to
what,
everything for everyone. Okay. The hand you hold is the hand that holds you down, babe.
are you done for real?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I was watching a video of Canadians fighting, and it is adorable. It is adorable when they're screaming at each other, say you're sorry. It's just so cute. I can't take any of it seriously. I can't take it seriously. Just, oh,
Canadian financial and traffic law says that if you're in an accident and you apologize to the other person, that does not count as an admission of guilt for causing the accident. Just because everybody does that, no matter if they were the cause or not.
the other guy in the video is yelling, what are you gonna do about it? And I don't know what they were fighting about. I don't know if they eventually came to blows, which would be good. But at the point I stopped watching the video, it was just so cute. I feel like it's like watching 4-year-olds fight, and they don't have like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just so cute. They're not really a danger. It's just adorable. Like maybe somebody should go separate them, but you kind of want to let them go. It's just, aw. And that's how
They'll
I
be
felt. It's
fine. They'll be
it's
fine.
it is the most safe I've felt watching videos of several white men together in a very long time. What are you gonna do
Yeah.
about it? Say you're sorry.
uh,
Oh. Should I make a podcast?
yeah, let's make a podcast. Hello and welcome into another episode of Gifted Kid, Messy Adult, a neurodiversity podcast. The show where potential went to die. I'm one of your hosts, Ellie Michaels. I use she, her.
I am your other host, Jessica Michaels. I use she, they.
And today we are talking about over empathy and becoming emotional pack mules. I love that.
Not in like the fun way where when you're little, you want to grow up and maybe be a pack mule or be, because I wanted to be an elephant. Um, this is different. So many neurodivergent kids want to grow up and be animals. And I think it's because they realize at an early age that being a person, not great, not great,
Not my favorite.
not my favorite. So, but
No,
no,
it's
this
not.
is what we're talking about today is the tendency of neurodivergent people to feel like it is our responsibility to fix things for other people or be a people pleaser, often to the detriment of ourselves, or when maybe the person who actually needs a little bit of attention would be us, in fact. And instead we hand that out to other people, and what we can do to notice it and maybe stop doing it before we burn out and fall into little balls of overstressed, emotionally dysregulated goo.
A vivid image. Also, hang on. Have you ever seen a pack mule in person?
I've seen a mule.
Are
I've
you
seen a
sure?
mule wearing things. So I
Might have
would
just been a donkey
assume
with
they
a
were a
hat.
pack mule. It wasn't wearing a hat. Do
Okay.
donkeys wear hats?
I have no idea. I recall
Well, I
mention
gotta
of someone cutting holes in a large straw hat to put over a donkey's head
pack
for the
mule
ears. Because a mule is like a hybrid of a
animal.
horse and a donkey, right? And they're just less stubborn, but they're sterile.
Pack mule is any mule that is used to carry goods, typically in side bags or panniers, Panniers. So if you've seen a mule, if it's used to carry things, it is a pack mule.
Fascinating. Huh. Okay. Well, moving on.
See? Pack mule.
Oh God. Yeah, that's the image I have in my head of a pack mule,
Mhm.
but I don't think I've ever seen one in real life. Maybe like
We
a
don't
fake
tend
one at like a
to
Ren fair?
we don't tend to go places as tourists where riding one would be part of the gig.
Uh-huh. Like going down the Grand Canyon, like
Yeah.
the riding a quadruped is the best way to do it because they're self-correcting.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't that's not typically our vacation bag. We tend to like museums, air
Uh-huh.
conditioned places.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, that's that's important. I like places where people will bring you food at any time, day or night. It's lovely. I think you could combine a place where I go to a bunch of museums and a place where people will bring me food all the time. And at some point where I can like lay by a pool, that's my perfect vacation. Perfect. That
Isn't
sounds amazing.
isn't that just where we live? Like the apartment complex has a pool and I will happily bring you food whenever. Like
It's pretty
give
close.
me
Yeah, I guess it's pretty close.
give me 2 minutes to finish running this dungeon and then yeah, no, I'll go make you some tacos. What do you want? Like,
We haven't had tacos in a while.
we haven't had tacos in a
We could do
while.
tacos.
We're recording through lunch.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk about people pleasing and then we can deal with getting food for tacos because I still need food for my slushies or for my shakes, my veggie shakes. So
Mm.
there will be a grocery store at some point in time. So, can you think of a time when you were being actively a people pleaser or that you were trying to fix somebody else's mood? Because this when I read this topic, I instantly thought, of course, oh, this is something that I do. And that's why I had written it down as a topic idea, because it's definitely something that I do. But when you looked at it, you were like, oh, yeah, this makes sense to me. So is there a time that you know that you have done this, or is this something that you tend to do?
Um, Only for like the entirety of my life.
Okay. Okay. So once in a while,
But other than that, not really.
tell me about it.
Well, it's definitely something that I've noticed much more in the context of being transgender and not knowing it, because there's this odd phenomenon where when your endocrine system is running on the wrong hormones, we have really, really, really stunted emotional lives and emotional range available to us. Like I always joke that my available emotions were a little annoyed, really annoyed, absolutely losing my crap, and then sleepy. And that was
Yeah.
it.
And flirty.
Oh yeah, no, that's just an ongoing subroutine more than a mood. But as a result of that, because we kind of have an ahedonia thing going on, we really don't feel
Anhedonia.
joy. Anhedonia, yeah, sorry. We're still pedantic. Uh, because we don't tend to feel better about stuff, that you learn over the years to not waste the effort and resources giving yourself things that would make you feel better because nothing actually works. So you might as well throw that effort and energy at other people because it tends to make them happy. So, like, a very concrete example is that, what, 3 years on hormones now ish, and I'm still figuring out what my favorite kind of cake is because I learned how to bake in like 2016, 2017. I've been practicing most of the time since, and I like making cakes. And now flavor is so much cooler and so much more vibrant and causes like emotions and things that then you got to kind of go through and unpick things like, okay, what was a performance and what was actually something? And what do I like? What does give me joy? And so when
Mm,
you don't get the joy from things, you kind of default to trying to give it to other people
yeah.
or spread misery around. It's the dichotomy of the evil trans.
But you mentioned something too that I think resonates for a lot of neurodivergent people. It's, when you feel so uncomfortable around others or you're not sure what to do or how to fit in, an easy role to fill is the helper.
Hmm.
If you can be the person that makes things better, then people will like you. You've given
Hmm.
yourself kind of a place, a reason to exist. And when I think too, when you're a person who you're always kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop. You don't know what wrong thing you're going to do, but you know it's going to happen. So if you see a situation where you can make somebody not mad or not mad at you, or you can make somebody, do something that makes somebody happy, you're sort of lessening the opportunities for things to come down on you and be wrong, and people are much less likely to be mad at somebody who's helpful than somebody
Hmm.
who isn't, or somebody who's at least trying to help. So I think some of it for us comes from discomfort. I think other, times other neurodivergent people experience like hyper empathy or rejection sensitivity, so where we really feel other people's moods, so
Hmm.
we automatically jump in to soothe or to fix or to be a buffer, not necessarily once people have asked us to do that, but we just sort of feel like that's our job. And I also think for kids of trauma, oftentimes if you're somebody who had a parent that was, or someone in your family where you felt like you were constantly walking on eggshells,
Hmm.
if you combine that with this over empathy that neurodivergents often have, then it's kind of a recipe for just being someone who's always on the lookout for something to fix, something to do. I think with me, especially with you, especially when we first got married, my tendency, I have two tendencies. One is to, I'm just always aware of your mood to the point
Hmm.
where I can tell if you're in a bad mood sometimes before you are, because your breathing changes, or because of how you close a door, or because of the way you said good morning, or whatever. I'm just always keyed in on these tiny little things that tell me that you're in not a super great mood. But then my other tendency is to want to fix it.
Hmm.
Like, what can I do? What can I buy you or bring you or create for you or do, or anything to bring you out of that mood? And at one point you said to me, like, sometimes I just want to be in a bad mood.
Hmm.
Like I feel like you said, I feel like a monster because anytime
Hmm.
I'm in the slightest bad mood, you jump to, all of these other things. And it never occurred to me that that part of my personality could be or was so detrimental ultimately to our relationship. And now I've worked really hard on, when you're in a bad mood, just letting you be in a bad mood, because sometimes you're just going to be in a bad mood, and I can be
And it
there and I
and it
can
passes.
be,
Like
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
I
be
can be
grumpy
there.
for
I
a
can be
while.
supportive.
It's gonna be annoying, and then after a little while, it will recede and go away, like all
Mm
emotions.
hmm. Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
But if you don't let it happen, if you fight it and prevent it from, telling you what the emotion wants to tell you, it never really goes away.
Mm hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I think when we where it turns into weaponized empathy is the part where you sort of become the unpaid therapist for people around you, or you become the fixer or this emotional sponge at the cost of your own boundaries and energy. So, weaponized empathy could be people take advantage of you because you're so nice, but it could
Hmm.
also be it could be friendly fire. Like I am jumping in to do things and to take care of other people, and I am either ignoring my own needs, I'm stepping into situations where I'm going to get hurt, or whatever it can be. It's so weaponized. It doesn't have to be someone using it against you. It could very much be friendly fire. You putting yourself into these situations. Um, can you think of other times or ways, other specific instances where you've jumped in or where you kind of have tried to, where you've had this used against you, or you've used this against yourself?
Like the entirety of my first significant romantic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
like again, because I didn't really feel my own feelings and they felt them a lot, it felt like I should be helping them co-regulate. And so that was like my job. That
Uh-huh.
was my role. Um, and it was helpful and whatever and helped them co-regulate and be a successful person, but it also built up a gigantic well of subconscious resentment
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't feel like a relationship. It felt like a job. It felt like a caretaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then because I wasn't getting what I wanted or needed, then uh, I would kind of lash out and be, not a great person.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea why. And again, very muted emotions, really couldn't tell what was going on in my own head and my heart. So yeah, it's not good for anybody. Like,
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, especially in relationships, I think, or partnerships, it it doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be something as subtle as laughing at somebody's jokes that I really don't think are funny,
mhm,
or apologizing when I really didn't do anything wrong, or
mhm,
saying, yes, I would love to go to the whatever when I really don't want to go to the whatever. Just doing where almost your job becomes, instead of being a partner, your job is to keep the peace.
mhm.
And you would rather not do anything that you want to do in order to just keep from disappointing someone or putting them through something negative. Like if I want to go to the museum and they want to go to the car show, well, I'll go to the car show instead of dragging them around a museum, even though I don't want to go to
They're
the car
dragging you to the car
show.
show.
Exactly. And I'm going to be miserable, but I would rather be miserable than create a situation where they might be mildly annoyed
Hmm.
or mildly inconvenienced. And so that's something I think that can happen in relationships a lot as well. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I have definitely had to grow out of that in terms of our relationship. Um,
Hmm.
when it's like, well, being in a relationship is that you do things for each other. Yes, you find things that are common interests and common things that you both enjoy, but also you do things for each other that might not be
Hmm.
somebody's first choice, but you do them because you love each other and care about each other and are interested. And there's joy in that. There's
Hmm.
fun sometimes in that, but when one person is doing it all the time out of obligation or because the other person would get upset, or that's when it becomes really dangerous and is again using that weapon against that weaponized empathy against yourself. Or if you have partners who know that and know that that's what you feel your role is, that they expect it of you, and then they do it. And so neurodivergent people, I think, really can be in danger of willingly participating in some terrible relationships
Hmm.
because of feelings like this, or situations like this that go on or that get out of control or they don't recognize it. And when you're not sure how to feel genuine emotion, you just assume that everybody else in a relationship feels like this. and this
Mm-hmm.
is what it should be, and that the people who look happy, well, they're not really happy because that's not really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's this, that's just an action, and these are, these are just, so it, I think it all kind of goes together to present a bad picture sometimes for people. But it can also be little stuff too. It can be the person at work who is always the person to stay late, or if somebody else is working on an annoying project, they instantly want to pitch in or take it over or take it on, even if it isn't in their role or their scope or their best interest to do so. So that can certainly be a problem. Is that something that you ever do, kind of like the always helper, or like the, if somebody has a problem, it becomes my job to solve it?
Absolutely. I'm better at it now. I'm much better at it now. But like you said, being the helper, like not only do people not get as annoyed at the helper, but you have something to do.
Mm,
So like, you have a script, you have set parameters, and you're banking goodwill for when you screw something up. They go, hmm, well, she did make flatbread.
yeah, but
So
it's Ellie,
yeah,
so we can't get mad, it's Ellie.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we can get mad, but not as much.
Mm.
So like, a friend was hosting a pre-parade party kind of thing for Pride. And I was like, oh, I'll bring the stuff for flatbreads and I'll make flatbreads for everybody because then I had something to do and I didn't have to like stand around awkwardly socializing. And then once I was done with the flatbreads, there was flatbreads and the ice had already kind of been broken and people were chatting and whatever. Um, so that wasn't quite the, let me be the helper, I will run the things. I mean, a little bit, little bit, but also like it's really good flatbread. It's really good party food because you can sit there with a plate with one of them, and you and your friend can kind of tear off bits as you go.
And then you're the baked goods person,
Hmm. And then
so
you're the
you don't
baked
have
goods
to
person.
worry about people judging you on you as a human being, because you're the baked goods person. So it
Hmm.
doesn't matter the kind of person I am, because I'm the baked goods person and they like the baked goods. Therefore, they will like me. It's okay.
And yeah, and the baked goods are also a lever. So a couple of friends of mine, married couple, they were off camping for a few days, and they came back a day early, and it was on one of their birthdays. And they came back because the one who was having the birthday had tweaked her back, and camping was miserable. And this was going to be like the last kind of fun thing they did before her medical leave was up. She had a minor operation a little while ago, and she's going to have to go back to work like next week. And her birthday kind of got ruined, and I felt bad about it. And I can't really do anything about it. Like, I can't fix your back. I can't fix the weather so camping isn't awful because camping is just always awful. Why would here pay several $1,000s for poor simulacrums of the furniture and the home you already pay for with no running water or heat or AC or fans? It's okay. I'm fine. I'm normal. But uh I could knock up a quick cake for her birthday. And it took like, I don't know, 2 hours of out of my day, including like delivering it. But I only gave her half the cake because it's a household of two people. I'm not going to give you an entire cake. That's ridiculous. I'm going to keep half of it and I'm going to cut it into slices and put it in a container that looks like it's full. And they were very happy with it. And it like improved their birthday monumentally.
It's just
And
a
like, yeah,
nice thing you did. It's
I
like
got
a
to be the
nice thing you
baked
did
goods
for a
person.
friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice thing I did for a friend. And we have half a cake in our fridge now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think when you're doing those things selectively,
Hmm.
then and these friends, I know these friends, they would hang out with you whether or not you had cake. They have
Hmm.
hung out with you without cake. So,
Hmm.
you kind of look at the situation and go, well, yeah, they would spend time with you, just you, and they have been equally, if we needed them to do something, I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would
Oh,
step in
drop of
and
a
feed
hat.
the dog if we needed to, I mean, it's just, there's
Hmm.
lovely people. And So in that case, you're not being taken advantage of, and you're not doing this because of, it's just, here's a nice thing to do. And that's, I think, where it's tough for sometimes for neurodivergent people, especially when you're not sure how friendships go.
Hmm.
Or I love that you mentioned that sometimes you do things to not feel awkward. Like if you're at a job and you don't have anything to do, then it's like, oh, I can jump in and I can help this person, and it gives you something to do. We can use it as a way to manage our own unease or uncertainty about friendships and coworker
Hmm.
relationships and relationships. And you sort of figure, well, this is a good thing. And if it's a good thing, and if this is a good type of thing, then I'll just keep doing this. I'll just keep doing this. And I really felt that way at work. I would always, I would always be a person who, when I was a manager, and this is before I knew that I was neurodivergent. And ultimately, situations like this are what caused me to find out that I was neurodivergent. But I, my team and I weren't really getting along and I didn't know why. And so my solution was to buy lunch every Friday. It was like, if I buy lunch for my team every Friday, then whatever weirdness is happening, it will make up for that weirdness. Or I would around the office, if anybody needed anything, if somebody were sticking around because they were waiting for a phone call, whatever it was, I would volunteer. Oh, I'll do that. I'll stick around. Da-da-da. And one day I was at the office and I was talking to a coworker of mine. Her name was Megan, and there was another Jessica, and she mentioned, oh yeah, so and so said that Jessica is just being so weirdly annoying by like, oh, I'll stay and take your phone call. I'll do this. I'll do that, thinking that we were talking about this other girl named Jessica, but really she was talking about me, and that I was the one who was being so annoying by just trying to jump in and do all of these things. It was like, oh, well, I thought I was being helpful, but I guess every good thing has its limit. And since that was my one go-to, that was not good. That was not good.
Hmm.
So any this weaponized empathy can still cause a negative reaction in other people if it's the thing, if it's the thing that you always do, whether it's they make themselves a martyr, so they're always the person, doing these things, or maybe they think, you could be nosy, maybe you're jumping in and trying to involve yourself in situations that you don't really need to be involved in, or you're just always kind of looking for things that you can fix and looking for things to do and looking for ways to help, and that can be off-putting, you
It's
know
also kind of infantilizing. Like, I will not let anyone else do their job. And the assumption there can be because you're not going to do it right. Like,
mm-hmm.
it makes me think of the relationship between Glenda and Jules in Unseen Academicals, the Pratchett book about soccer/football. Somewhere along the lines, Glenda realizes that her best friend Juliet doesn't know how to do anything because for her entire life, every time Juliet or Jules got to something that was difficult, Glenda went, "Oh, let me do that for you. Oh, here, I'll take care of that. Oh, I'll rewash the dishes after you washed the dishes." Instead
Oh,
of like, "All right, hun, so you washed the dishes, but here's where you fell down in a couple of spots, and here's how you can do that better. Go try again. I'm gonna go back to doing what I'm doing." But instead, you just take it out of their hand. And that can be very, very insulting. Like,
yeah.
I had a foreman who would straight up take the tool out of your hand when you were doing something to show you how to do it better by just doing it. And it's like, well, I guess I'll go take lunch because you're doing my job. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I work with neurodivergent leaders, that is exactly now something that we have to watch out for. Is when I talk to the team, they'll say, oh, they don't think we can do anything. Or, the leader doesn't think if we do something, but it's not their way, then it's wrong. And then I talk to the leader and they say, oh, well, I want to make sure that my people have it the easiest that they can have it. And so if there's a way that's easier, I'm going to show them, or I don't want them to have to do X, Y, and Z. So I do X, Y, and Z. But you're exactly right. The message to the team is, well, you don't think I can do anything, or you think that only your way is the way things should be done. And the intention can be really good, but
Mm-hmm.
because our brains work differently, the way that it is perceived by others is often very much the opposite of the way we intended. And then if we don't pick up on the way people are thinking or feeling, then we don't know that there's this disconnect. There's this negativity that is happening. So yeah, so that's definitely another way that this weaponized empathy can be a problem and can be used against us. Or, it can be other people taking advantage because, oh, they know that this leader will always it reminds me of Linda in Bob's Burgers, when she gets the job at the supermarket and she
Mm-hmm.
becomes
Mm-hmm.
the shift manager. And first somebody asks her to, they're not feeling creative, so they don't want to write the signs. So she's like, I'll write the signs. I'll make that my job today. And then another person asks her, hey, I need to leave early because there's something happening. And she says, okay, that's fine. I'll cover your station too. And then another person says, I've got to go home. I'm sick right now. And I'm going to be sick tomorrow, and takes off. So she realizes that she's the only one in the store and every area of responsibility is now hers, because
Mm-hmm.
those employees took advantage of her, and they knew, that she was going to, some of them purposely, some of them not purposely, but ultimately she ended up in this situation where she was the only one left to do anything. And sometimes that can happen too, is where people know that you're so nice, or they know that you'll say yes or do anything, and people start to use that to their advantage, which is
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate.
Yeah. And whether you're in the leader position or not, if you are trying to offer like constructive criticism or like show the person a better way to do something, you have to be careful about how you phrase it and how you do it. So if they're doing the thing, if they're succeeding at the task, but you're aware that there's a better way to do it, you need to phrase it, you need to present it in the sense of you're doing a great job and you're knocking this out. There is a different way to do that that I think is easier, but you might not. Do you want me to show you?
And ultimately, it's your choice how you do it.
They have to have the agency there. You are not taking the
Mm-hmm.
tool out of their hand. You're going, you're holding that in an interesting way. See, I always hold it like this, but I guess that must, is that like putting pressure on your wrist or something? How are you doing that? And if you approach it from a sense of investigation and curiosity, you are honoring them. You are
Mm-hmm.
you are doing a great job. You're doing a wonderful job.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to maybe make your day a little bit easier, but you don't got.
And it's your choice. If you decide, mm-hmm,
Yeah, because it isn't necessarily easier for them. Maybe that's not the way that their brain or their body works, you
that
know.
is so hard, I think, for us sometimes to wrap our heads around, is the way that's easier for us might not be the way that's easier for this other person.
Uh-huh.
Because it's always tough to realize that people can experience the world differently, which is why so many neurotypical people have a hard time understanding neurodiversity. So to understand that this way works better for me but doesn't work better for someone else can be challenging
Uh-huh.
for a neurodivergent person, because we often have this very strong sense of ourselves, but we have a hard time putting ourselves in other people's shoes. So I think the situation matters as well, because one of the things that we'll advise people to do when we're saying, okay, how not to get yourself in trouble with weaponized empathy is to, like you said, think about how you're communicating, make sure you're giving people choices and options. One way also is to say, look at the situation. Is it hurting you and people around you more than it's helping the person that you're trying to help? For example, there was one time where you were picking me up from work or picking me up at the train station, and I texted you to say, I'm leaving work. And so you knew to go to the train station at a certain time to get me. And in between the time I talked to you and the time I walked out the door to the train, a coworker of mine called me, and there was a crisis, a family crisis that was happening. And I ended up staying on the phone with her for 40 minutes, an hour. I love you dearly, but in that moment, you kind of stopped to exist for me
Uh-huh.
because I I needed to help out this person. Now, in this situation, looking at it and go, okay, it did hurt me because you were pretty upset, obviously, that you had been at the train station waiting for me and I hadn't even left work and I hadn't communicated to you. And so you were wondering what was going on with me. And so I did need to fix that and, apologize and let you know what was happening. But we both agreed ultimately that me taking that phone call and taking the time to help somebody who was really stressed, who there were some things that I could do to help, that were work related that took that off her plate, in that one emergency situation, it ended up being a good thing that I was there to help because it was infrequent. It
Uh-huh.
was serious.
Uh-huh.
It was something that really required some attention, and I could concretely do things to help in that instance. I could arrange
Uh-huh.
things at work. I could do things, and I think those are some good criteria for, is this something that requires my attention? Ultimately, we agreed that it was a good thing. Now, if it had been, oh, this person just called to chat, it wasn't a situation where I could really do anything. If I had blown off meeting you at the train for 40 minutes or an hour because of something that happened all the time, something that didn't really benefit from my attention or my energy, I think that would have been a very different story because it wouldn't have been worth it. That negative impact that it caused to you as my partner. So I think sometimes all of the components of the situation together can determine whether or not it's good for you to act or good for you to take something on in that instance.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And this person didn't often ask things like this of me, which is why I even answered the phone, because it was like, if this person is calling, something is up,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to somebody who talked to me all the time. So I think it's important to be able to spot your actions, like catch yourself when you volunteer to fix something that no one asked you to fix, or when maybe you feel responsible for somebody's mood. Identify it. And I think that is really an important way to stop from, empathy from turning into a trap for us, is even just recognizing, why am I jumping in here right now? Is
Uh-huh.
it because somebody asked or because I can be helpful? Or is it just that there is a situation that exists or that I feel responsible for somebody else's mood? And that can help you determine whether or not you move forward. Um,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
you can also have some lines ready if you're a person who likes to script, maybe things like, I hear you, that sounds really hard. I hope you find what you need. Or,
Uh-huh.
boy, that sounds really terrible. I wish you luck on your project. I hope the night doesn't go too long for you. You don't have to follow up with an offer. You
Uh-huh.
don't have to project manage their feelings. You don't have to jump in and solve. Nobody's asked you to solve anything. You don't have to be the solver. You can just acknowledge that somebody has a situation and offer your, some words of support, and that is enough. That is
Hmm.
enough. But it's not up to you. Just because somebody is in a situation doesn't mean it's up to you to solve it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good note to end on, but I still want to mention
I've
the
got a
post
couple
of
of other
the.
points. I've got a couple of other points. So we don't have to end there.
Okay. So we're already at it like an hour. Um, uh, this also feels like the kind of improper boundary setting that you get with parentification of an eldest child, where especially if you're, a neurodivergent child and you are outwardly calm and you have your stuff together, you may be freaking out on the inside, but to everybody else, you look like an old soul. You look very responsible for your age. And so you get responsibilities set on your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
taking care of siblings or helping a parent co-regulate their emotions, which is not supposed to happen. That's supposed to go the other way. Parents
Mm-hmm.
supposed to help you co-regulate. Or if you grew up in the family business where your job is whatever. And so then you go into a job at a regular company and you don't know how to stay in your lane because you've never done that before. And if you tried to do that in your past work experience, bad things would happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up, offering to, in my case, fix the Wi-Fi for you and like, oh, I'll come in extra and install that new refrigerator and just all kinds of stuff. And it's like, that's not your job. Do,
Yeah.
do, your job is to do these 5 things and do them well. And if somebody says, hey, can you help me out with something? And you're not terribly busy, maybe do that. But
Yeah. I kind of look at it like setting a drama budget or
yeah,
setting an energy budget for yourself. Like,
yeah,
as you mentioned, when you're a person who, at work, you want to jump in and fix everything, it's like, which can lead to you getting very burned out, very stressed. You're dealing with things that aren't in your scope. You can set that budget for yourself, and say, is this in my job description? Is where am I in terms of my energy and my stress level? Is it something that I have the time to deal with, or am I at capacity? If something's going to cost you your evening and your mental health, or if taking something on is going to be a recurring project, or things like that, then it can be outside of what you have available. And so that's a good way to know that you need to pass on whatever it is. And you know problems will get solved. If something is really a problem, it will get solved. In a business, if something is really a problem, it will get solved, often with money. That doesn't mean you have to solve it, because
uh-huh,
ultimately it will take away from you more often than it will benefit you. um,
uh-huh,
boy, oh boy, if jobs know that they have somebody who will do these things for no extra pay and no extra
uh-huh,
resources, then it'll always be on you. And then you've got that added stress factor. So then when you don't have the emotional energy to deal with your own responsibilities, then you are looked at negatively, even though so much of what you're doing is benefiting the workplace, which is a really frustrating situation to be in. um
There's a specific TikTok creator whose name I can't come up with off the top of my head. I'll put it in her show notes. Um, but she does these really effective, two-hander scenes where she's playing herself and a manager. And, camera cuts back and forth. One's from the right, the other's from the left, different outfits. But it's usually something like a manager asking her to do something that she is not paid and qualified to do. And it's her carefully, tactfully, and in corporate saying no.
mhm,
But things like, we're going to need you to take on this workload for this separate task and blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll be needing to update my contract to show that I'm going to be taking care of this, and then, of course, increasing remuneration and reflecting my new job title to go with this. And they go, well, no. Well, then I'm sorry to say I'm not qualified to continue to do that. My priorities and my responsibilities have been taken care of, and you can see that they're here. And it's stuff like, uh, I see that you have a whole hour blocked out for lunch tomorrow. Yes. Do you think it's necessary for that? Well, yeah, that way that people don't try to schedule meetings when I'm having lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people work through their lunch. They do. Well, maybe you should. I choose not to, as is outlined in my contract
Mm-hmm.
and my
Mm-hmm.
legally mandated blah 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 blah. And it's boundary setting. And she always ends it by picking up her coffee cup that has something snarky written on it. But you have to be able to say no to other
Mm-hmm.
people's requests and to your own impulses.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's a thing that I find I try to remind people, like, and I'll be like, hey, could you take care of something? And I see them like waffling or wavering, and I'll go, just that's a question. So the answer can be no.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer can't be
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not a question, it's a command.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, can you take care of that? Fine if you can't. I'll get it. You're just
Mm-hmm.
standing closer to it right now.
Mm-hmm. It's, I know it is horrifying, but no in itself is not rude. It's
No.
a resource management tool,
Hmm.
you know? Um, Even if you need to practice saying no, it is a really valuable tool to protect yourself when we're talking about avoiding burnout or avoiding having weaponized empathy negatively affect you, because you're right. If somebody's asking you a question, there needs to be able to be options for an answer, yes or no. And if somebody's asking you to do something, often they're assuming that you're going to say yes only if you have bandwidth, only if it will be easy for you,
Hmm.
And so people are, not everybody who asks you needs you and only you to do this thing. Part of what they're asking you is this something that you can manage? Is this something that would be easy for you? Are you doing something else right now that really needs your attention? We sometimes say yes to things because we think that because we're being asked, we must say yes. But that is
Hmm.
not the case. When somebody's asking you, they're assuming that you won't volunteer if you do have something else going on that requires all of your attention, or this thing that they're asking you to do means you're going to have to work till 11 o'clock at night, or not get any sleep
Hmm.
tonight, or that you're going to do something right away, but really that could have been done another day. It was just a thought they had. So saying no is really a part of protecting yourself and protecting your own energy and your own health, mental, physical, spiritual, just your own well-being is wrapped up in being able to say no. So,
And not just necessarily you either.
mm-hmm,
Like, it's in the organization's best interests for you to be honest about these kinds of things. I mean, even if you're in the military, it's actually part of your sworn oath to obey lawful orders. And if you are ordered to do something that is wrong, it is on you. It is your job and your duty to say no. I mean,
mm-hmm,
go watch In the Pale Moonlight, the season whatever episode of Deep Space Nine. The captain orders the doctor to do something, and he says, "No, I can't do that." He says, "Well, why not?" And he gives him a bunch of reasons why not. And
mm-hmm,
he kind of supersedes him and makes him. But he's like, "All right, but I'm getting this in writing because no." And it's not because he didn't like the captain or didn't like the orders. It's because what you're asking me to do is bad and will harm us as an organization, as well as me, as well as you. So, hey, can you reach that for me? Um, no, I can't.
reasonable boundary setting. Reasonable boundary setting is something, as a neurodiversity coach, that I work on with clients a lot.
Hmm.
And part of boundary setting is being able to do a good self-assessment and a
Hmm.
good energy assessment. And so things like time blindness, a lack of interoception, these things can all feed into why it is a challenge for us to say no, but saying no is, causes you to need to go through some steps that are very, very helpful and really need to be practiced by a neurodivergent person. So it's not just the conversation that is difficult about how to say no, it's even doing that own assessment of your physical health, your mental health, your energy, your workload. All of those things you have to be able to assess in order to give a good answer to that question instead of defaulting just to yes. So that's something we work a ton on in neurodiversity coaching for sure. Probably the number one skill we work on is boundary setting, because that involves so many other elements for sure. The other thing that we work on a lot is flipping the script, which is turning that same hypersensitivity that you have towards other people towards yourself. Instead of saying, what does
Ew, no,
this
I don't want
person need right now? What is, it's what do I need right now? Who is taking care of this need for me? And if the answer is no one, well, then it's time to be that person for you that you would normally be for other people, and jumping in to do things for yourself and solve your own challenges. And
listen, I didn't
um,
come here to be attacked on this podcast. Uh, I mean, I don't get paid for this.
you've got to be as nice to yourself as you are to other people, which you started
Again,
for me.
what do you, what,
Well, ultimately, this is your fault, because you remember what you used to say. You still say it sometimes when you think I need to maybe take on a little less, or if you don't think
please
I'm
be nice to
treating
my wife?
myself, you say, please be nice to my wife.
Yeah.
And that sort of the first time you said that, it stopped me in my tracks, because there is nothing in the world I want more than for people to be nice to my wife. I, I want that more than anything, is for people to be nice. So if that's something that you really want and is important to you, well, then I need to do it. Just threw me into a whole tizzy. But be as nice to yourself as you are to other people. So that is the second thing that I work on in coaching with people. And it's really hard to do, and it takes skills and remembering and practice, but it's really, really important, because ultimately you're not as good to other people if you are not okay.
Hmm.
So if that's what has to be the thing to drive you to be nice to yourself as you are to other people, then okay. But that's really, really important. So there are ways to help you overcome this weaponized empathy. It's not easy, but it is important. And coaches are always there to help out, if that's something that maybe you need a little extra practice with. But partners can be good too. Rope them in. Say, here's something that I'm working on. Can you help keep an eye out, for this? Managers too, if you have a good manager, you can say that this is something that you're struggling with, is boundary setting, and that's something that a manager can help you with. So there are things and people that can help, but it is really it is important, and ultimately will help you really avoid burnout, because you're using your energy selectively, and you're boosting yourself up first. And so it's really important thing.
Well, I think on that note, this will be about the end for this really long and important episode of Gifted Kid, Messy Adult. Jess, where can people find out more about you?
People can find me at coachjessicamichaels.com and sign up for a free coaching consultation to see if neurodiversity coaching could be something that would help you.
Oh. Well, if you like our show, please rate and review us. And for any other information, please email us your questions, comments, or just outright praise to giftedkidmessyadult@gmail.com. So until next time, take care of each other and yourselves out there.
Ooh. Bye.
Changed it up. Be
That's good.
topical.
I like it. I like it.